So, editing me before I get into the actual meat of this audio, I officially think this video is cursed. I've done the audio like 4 times, like throughout different things, and then I was like, hey, I really want to make a fan art to go alongside the video, and that way I will have time to do so. And then I'll slap a picture on screen. I kind of broke my fingers. Not really. I have tendonitis. Joy. But I've had this audio sitting around. The longer I wait, it's not going to happen. And I'm also going on vacation soon. And literally today, while I am recording this update, ooh, I'm just gonna put it on screen because it's one of those moments where you would think that this changed my opinion of the video that I made, but it doesn't, because I just need to make this clear with what I'm about to say when I, go into the previously recorded audio. I have lost complete respect for this woman in any way, shape, or form. And just when I think the bar can't get lower, oh my god, it does. And this is terrible, and I kind of hate it here, but there's not much I can do. And so, yeah, I have to point this out and say this very clearly, alright? I do not respect this woman anymore. I definitely am going, later on in the video, I bring up some ways to, if you still care about Harry Potter, there's things you can do to fix it. I still believe those, and I'm going to hold on to those wholeheartedly, and oh my god. So, let's just get into the audio, because this is already a topic I didn't want to talk about, but then this happened, and I swear to god, the universe is testing me. First, they break my fingers, and then they do this, right when I'm about to edit it. Alright, I'm getting into the audio. Alright, but yeah, make it clear, I don't respect this woman. I can't respect this woman anymore. Every good thing she's done is so depressing, and it's, totally, negated by all the stuff she's done in the past years. So, alright, let's get into the video. God damn it. Alright, so this is God, I don't even know how many times. I've literally done this audio so many times, and I've just not been proud of it. And this is a serious issue, and I'm genuinely conflicted, and let's just get into it. So, I know it must be like, oh, Michelle, you're so late on the game. Everybody's already talked about it. Well, it's still kind of going on. So, you know what? It's accurate, and I stopped myself from making a video right away when things first happened with the whole J.K. Rowling thing, because as terrible as it is to say, I was just waiting for the next shoe to drop. I was waiting for the next thing to happen, because it always seemed to be a thing, and so it kind of settled for a little bit, so it seems right now. And I was like, alright, well, the first video I made, I got way too emotional, and I got, really weird. And, I got really weird. I don't know how else to describe it. When I listen back to the audio, I'm like, why did I sound like that? And then I tried doing it again a couple weeks later, and I still wasn't sounding too great. And it must be well, why are you even talking about this, Michelle? You don't even do that much fan art on your channel and stuff like that, and things like that. But Harry Potter was my childhood. It saved me in a lot of ways. And I know it saved a lot of people in a lot of ways. And the sad thing is that people bring up death of the author, like Lindsay Ellis and other people, and they talk about it. But you can't really talk about death of the author when the author isn't dead and is profiting from it. And another big issue that a lot of people are bringing up now is it's not going anywhere. Okay, you gotta. I hate to be that person, but it's not going anywhere. They have theme parks. It's not going anywhere. The movies are still being made. People are still buying the books. People are still doing that. Because the sad truth is, quite a lot of people don't live online. I know it seems crazy, but it's true. There are so many people I know personally who they don't have Twitter accounts. They barely use Instagram. They don't use social media the way probably you and I do right now, you watching here. And they don't care, they don't know, or they just don't care to know. Which none of those reasons are right. None of them are right whatsoever. And something else that's really important to say, because it is important, is I'm not a trans person. I cannot even attempt to try to understand what a trans person is going through when all this stuff was going on. On top of all the other really problematic stuff that that JK kept bringing up over the years. And I remember when it started getting really bad was when she brought up how when wizards don't know how to use bathrooms, or it was like, what happened before plumbing? Oh yeah, they just, messed themselves and then magicked the fecal matter and the pee pee away. And I remember being like, what? And then bringing up how, like, oh yeah, Hogwarts has like orgies and like a lot of weird stuff that just made no sense. When, especially the older I get, because I'm 27, turning 28 this year. While I grew up with Harry Potter, and Harry Potter saved me, and Harry Potter means a lot to me still to this day, it doesn't mean that I can't be disappointed. And I can't be upset that the actions of someone I did admire. I did admire JK. I admired, I admired her story and how she came from such a terrible situation and she wrote something that genuinely made her happy. And she wrote it not with the intention to get famous, but just to get her story out there. It was something that was really inspiring. It was something that, like, oh yeah, she did this and it blew up in her favor, and now she's one of the richest people in the world. And at the time, I have to emphasize that now, at the time, she did a lot for the like British welfare system. She did a lot for the homeless population. She's donated like millions of dollars to where like I think she like lost her billionaire title to be a millionaire. It's still a lot of money, but because she was just like and she was genuinely doing it to help people. I do believe that. But the issue is, while I love Harry Potter, and Harry Potter has a very special place in my heart, that for me, and I acknowledge this, but it can't be soiled. Because I've always been able to just ignore the author to the artist. I've been able to ignore that. When I read a book, I don't go into a book reading thinking, wow, I wonder what this author's political views are. Wow, I wonder what this author's leanings are. Wow. Now, granted, in literature, these do show, and Harry Potter isn't perfect. It's not. It's not perfect stories. It's really not. Again, it's one of those things when you love something, you got to acknowledge when it's bad. There's also a lot of classic literature that is not as good as the things. Harry Potter, though, is an easy read, and the reason why it's so good in a storytelling sense, let's get to the logistics here, is it is a children's book that adults can also enjoy. It's a very easy read. It's very easy for people with reading disabilities, such as myself and other people have talked about, to get invested into this world, get invested into the characters, and to be able to immerse ourselves into the the mystery. Because the first 4 books, I think it's the first 4. It's been a while since I've read them properly. But yeah, the first 4 books are all mysteries. They're all twists. They're all what ifs. If you think about it, the big the big plot twist and mystery was all about the Sorcerer's Stone and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone. I don't know why I said the Sorcerer's Stone. Thank you, America, for having to dumb it down for us. In my childhood, we had the Sorcerer's Stone. I didn't have the Philosopher's Stone, because America. You know, in Chamber of Secrets, it was who opened the Chamber of Secrets and the big plot twist of, who Tom Riddle was. Then we had, Prisoner of Azkaban. I keep wanting to say Order of the Phoenix. And I'm like, no. Then we have Prisoner of Azkaban, which is the big plot twist of, all about Sirius Black. And then the Goblet of Fire and all that other jazz. And those are the books I constantly go back to. Now, to be fair, though, my favorite book in the series, once I was older, was Half-Blood Prince, because we just learned so much about, Voldemort's backstory. But that being said, those are things that you're already invested in, and they're good books to start out. And Harry Potter have inspired so many people to read. It's the sad truth. You have to acknowledge it. And with that being said, there are things that are problematic in the text, especially now, that slid under the radar back when I was younger. That slid under the radar for a lot of people. And that's why, as a big reader, I've read books that are better than Harry Potter. But I cannot ignore that there were days when I didn't want to go on when I was young. And I've talked about this, I was severely bullied. Severely. I was put in the hospital a couple of times because of it. And when I would come home, I would watch the movies. I would watch them on repeat. I remember we would go through DVD after DVD, because this is a time before Blu-ray and before streaming. And they were things that I would just have on in the background, and I'd be able to forget about my bad day. I think I think it was Prisoner of Azkaban that I saw 3 times in theaters. And my mom was sick of taking me to it. But it brought me such joy. Being able to imagine myself going to Hogwarts and being that escapism was such joy for me. And I also grew up with the movies. A lot of people grew up with the books. So when the last movie came out, I was either right out of high school or almost out of high school. I can't remember at the top of my head right now, but they were there for me. And they were such a big part of my life. And a big issue with what's going on right now is that people want to destroy JK for having her very terrible, problematic points of view, which are extremely outdated, extremely ignorant. Me saying this, I need to emphasize, I am not supporting her in any way. When I made my Jake Parker Alfonso Dunn video, I didn't word myself properly there, where people thought I was on Jake's side. I'm on neither of their side. I'm on the side of we need to wait for the investigation to go through and to figure out more things. But with this stance, I do not support J.K. Rowling. I don't support anything of what she says. And I personally think she's been irrelevant for a very long time. For a very long time. She is an author that peaked to such a level to where she doesn't have to write ever again. She still does, and her books flop, and she wonders why her new books flop, but maybe it's because of your views, JK. But it's one of those things where she's not going anywhere. She's not. Harry Potter isn't going anywhere. It's just not. But what's going to happen is it's eventually going to fade away. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's how it is with every generation. My brother, who's a Zoomer, grew up with the Percy Jackson books. Now, he read the Harry Potter books too, and he did love the Harry Potter books, but Percy Jackson was his thing. Just like how there's other people I know who talk about how Warrior Cats was their thing. How, what's a new one? What's a new one that's coming out right now? Is Miss Peregrine? No, I don't know if Miss Peregrine counts. I think that's young adult. Anyway, I'm going on I'm distracting myself here. It's a lot like Indiana Jones or the Star Wars of the 80s. There are things that we're going to grow up with that are going to be nostalgic for us, that are not going to be nostalgic for others. And there will be. People don't seem to believe it because Harry Potter seemed like such a lightning in a bottle, and Harry Potter did change a lot. But things like Harry Potter have always been around. Like I said, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, back when there were radio shows and there were cowboys and stuff like that. Those were things. These were all things that go throughout generations that affect people in ways that they do. There's going to be a book series that's going to come out that's going to be the next Harry Potter. It's going to happen eventually. It's a lot like the Twilight, the Twilight craze, and the fact that we're in like a Twilight renaissance right now. Which, by the way, I am actually making a video on Twilight and Stephenie Meyer in the near future. I'm just working on getting a couple more things done for it, so be prepared for that. But because Stephenie Meyer is also someone it's a bit problematic, but unlike J.K. Rowling, Stephenie Meyer can admit with things that she's done wrong. Again, I'm not saying she's better, because they both have issues, but there's a difference when digging your heels in the sand and keeping your stance because you have the money to do so, like JK does. Like I said earlier, she's got theme parks, she's got movie rights, she's got rights to all the official merch. She's not going anywhere. And destroying your Harry Potter memorabilia. Now, if it genuinely hurts you, like I said, I am not a trans person. I cannot and I will not attempt to understand how a trans person feels, because I feel like that is ignorant. I can't even try to fathom. So I'm not going to. But if you're a trans person or a marginalized person that's been offended or hurt by these books, then you have a right to be upset and to want to get rid of your memorabilia. But it's a lot like when people burned their Keurigs a few years ago. I forgot why, but there was something where I don't remember why, but there was something problematic about like the owner of Keurig or something. And there were videos going around of people taking their Keurigs and destroying them and burning them and doing which they were angry that the like guy who was the person of Keurig was like, well, we still got your money. Which is how it is. If you bought official merch and you bought official things, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have, the money's there. It's gone. You're not getting that money back. But you can change it by informing other people. And you have to do it in a proper way. You can't be angry and aggressive and irritating and harsh about it. You need to be understanding and be like, oh, well, if someone new who's never read it was like, oh, kind of want to check out Harry Potter or watch movies. That's a whole nother thing. I have a couple of friends who grew up in my generation who never liked Harry Potter. That's a thing too. They never liked it. It's a lot like, Star Wars and Star Trek. I'm not a Star Trek fan. A couple of my friends are. I'm okay with Star Wars. It's whatever. I can enjoy it. I didn't like any of the new ones, but I grew up in the prequels, and I liked the prequels, and the prequels are bad, and I acknowledge that. But that's another thing that we're talking about here, is there are things in generations that go through that sometimes people understand, sometimes people don't, and that's okay. But we also need to talk about if you're a lot like me, okay? If you're a lot like me, and you can't hate Harry Potter because it saved you, but you don't want to support J.K. Rowling, well, you know what you can do? It's really easy. And people are probably going to get me on this for this, because I always have that one person who's like, actually, wait for when this happens to you and people do this for your stuff. Okay, if I make J.K. Rowling money, go ahead. I don't care at that point. As an indie artist, I do. But like when you're that big, or like Stephen King big, I don't think they're going to care. Go indie. Okay? Go indie, go secondhand. There are so many websites out there where, because I personally, because I got into the books late, I want, for my own collection, because I read and I also like having a collection in my library, I would like to have a hardcover copy set of the classic covers when I grew up as a kid. But I can't support JK anymore. I can't support the official merch. So I've been looking on thrifting sites, libraries, things like that, to where the money's already been given, but I'm not giving her more. And so there's doing things like that, looking at secondhand, looking at friends or people online who are willing to get rid of their copies or resell their copies. There's also go indie. If you want to get merch, if you want to get things, go indie. Look for artists on Etsy and Society6 and Redbubble and stuff, and support artists. J.K. Rowling isn't getting a penny. You're still loving a property that brings you joy, and you're not supporting the artist in any way. And that's what people are going to have to start doing, especially with certain things. Because Harry Potter isn't the same as, like, reading H.P. Lovecraft when you learn that the man is a giant racist. That does change the context of the stories. There are moments in a couple of things in Harry Potter where it a little bit of her weird issues seep in, but not to the same extent. It's the same thing like when you look up the truth between Charles Dodson and the writer of Alice in Wonderland. A lot of things start to make sense, but if you're also a kid and I hate to say this, but your brain isn't as fully developed to understand, because I wasn't like that when I was a kid. There were so many stories that I read and enjoyed as a kid that I was like, oh, I did not realize that was problematic. Oh, I did not realize that author was a terrible person. And when I go into reading still today, when I see a book that seems interesting to me, my first instinct isn't, I need to Google the author to see if the author is a POS person. The majority is not going to do that. Because there's also, like I said, there's a lot of people who are online who aren't online. There are a lot of people who don't know what's going on, don't care, don't understand, don't get the relevancy. And that's what we're going to have to do, because she's not going anywhere, because she is so rich and comfortable that nothing we do is going to change J.K. Rowling. It's sad, and it's ignorant, and it upsets me. But I am not letting that ruin Harry Potter for myself, because when I was in an extremely dark place, Harry Potter saved me. And I know other people feel that way too. And I think it's better, especially when those of us who have platforms like myself, to acknowledge it. That's another issue I have, is when people don't acknowledge it. There's a lot of booktubers I follow. Now, this is not a booktube channel, but there's a lot of booktubers I follow who are diehard Harry Potter fans, who go to the theme... Well, I mean, because of what's going on right now, we haven't gone, but they go to the theme parks all the time. They do this all the time. Buy merch and stuff all the time. They've been silent on the matter because they don't want to make waves. And that's why when I see people like Dominic Noble, who, you know, is very open that, like, his channel got popular because of the Harry Potter-a-thon, and how Harry Potter made him into a reader, how conflicted he was. And I think that his video was also really informative, and his points of view are also valid. I'm not going to hate people who full-on boycott JK and don't do anything ever again. I'm also not going to hate people who go out and buy her stuff because it brings them joy. Because I know, eventually, it's going to fade away. And it's such a complicated topic when things like this happen, but it's important to be talked about. So there's my opinions on that. And on the other side, if you're pro Harry Potter, don't attack people who are marginalized, who are hurt. They're just as valid in feeling hurt, upset, and angry as you are being defensive. It's got to go both ways. You can't have it be a one-way street in any argument. So I feel a lot better about how I talked about it now, and I feel like this is a better way to have done the audio. I'm glad I've waited and done it and talked to you guys about it. So if you like these topic videos, I make a new art video or topic video every Wednesday. Thank you as always to my amazing subscribers and to my amazing patrons. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And I know it's a heavy topic and it's a heavy time, but I needed to get it out there. So yeah, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because the YouTube bot is dumb. I also will have videos linked down below to a couple of really good videos that I also felt talked about the issue as well. So check those out. And as always, guys, I will see you next time. Bye.